They called her a walking donut in the palace, but this donut was about to shock everybody. Once upon a time, in the great kingdom of Ophevilla, where the sun kissed the red earth every morning and the marketplace buzzed like angry bees, there lived King Hugo, a man whose belly shook when he laughed and whose heart was softer than freshly pounded yam. He had only one child, a daughter named Princess Matilda, and oh, this girl was round like the full moon during harvest season. From the time Matilda was small, she loved food more than anything. While other children played hide and seek in the palace gardens, Matilda would be in the kitchen, her mouth full of chin-chin, her fingers sticky with honey. The palace cooks would shake their heads and whisper among themselves, but they could never say no to those big, hopeful eyes. When Matilda reached secondary school age, her father sent her to the Royal Secondary School in the neighboring town. That was when the real trouble started. The other students took one look at her and the names began to fly like stones from a catapult. Fat Matilda, Elephant Princess, Walking Wrapper of Fufu. Imagine being a princess and still nobody wants you because you are too fat. Even the palace cats were laughing. Every morning, Matilda would wake up with hope in her heart, thinking maybe today would be different. But it never was. In the dining hall, when she sat down to eat, the other girls would move their chairs away, making loud scraping sounds on the floor. They would hold their noses and pretend she smelled bad, even though Matilda bathed twice daily with the finest soaps imported from across the seas. During sports lessons, when teams were being chosen, Matilda was always picked last. Sometimes she was not picked at all. The sports teacher, a thin woman who looked like a dry stick, would click her tongue and say, "Princess Matilda, you can be the scorekeeper today. We don't want you to tire yourself." But the worst torment came from a girl named Adana, whose skin was known throughout the region. Adana had skin like polished mahogany and a waist so small you could wrap both hands around it. She was the queen bee of the school, and she made it her daily mission to remind Matilda of her place. "Look at this one," Adana would announce to anyone who would listen. "She wants to wear the same uniform as us, but she looks like she swallowed 3 other students whole." The laughter that followed would echo in Matilda's ears long after she returned to the palace. This poor princess was so chubby that even her own mirror was tired of seeing her. One evening, after a particularly brutal day at school, where someone had drawn a picture of her as a hippopotamus on the classroom board, Matilda ran to her father's chamber. Tears rolled down her plump cheeks like raindrops on a window. King Hugo was sitting on his throne, dealing with some village dispute about a stolen goat. But when he saw his daughter's face, he dismissed everyone immediately. "My precious jewel," he said, opening his arms wide, "come and tell your father what has happened." Matilda collapsed into his embrace, her whole body shaking with sobs. "Papa, why did God make me like this? Why am I so fat and ugly? Everyone hates me. Even the palace maids laugh behind my back. I heard them yesterday calling me Madame Roundabout. Papa, I want to die." King Hugo's heart broke into 1,000 pieces. He held his daughter tighter and whispered, "Listen to me, my daughter. You are not ugly. You are beautiful just as you are. Those people who mock you, they have ugly hearts. Beauty is not only what the eye can see. Your heart is pure gold, and that is what matters." But his words, though sweet, could not stop the tears or heal the wounds that grew deeper every day. Who bullies a princess? The whole kingdom did, until her body said, "Surprise!" As the years passed, Matilda somehow managed to finish secondary school, though she dropped out before completing her final year because the bullying became too much to bear. She would spend her days locked in her room, eating to comfort herself, which only made matters worse. The palace maids would gossip loudly enough for her to hear. "Have you seen her recently? She has added more weight again. I heard the royal tailor had to use 3 times the normal fabric for her new dress. 3 times! That poor king, what will he do with such a daughter? No man will ever want her." These words cut deeper than any knife. Matilda would stand in front of her mirror, pinching the rolls of flesh around her waist, her arms, her thighs, wishing she could simply disappear. When Matilda turned 25, King Hugo decided it was time for her to marry. In their kingdom, this was the proper age for a princess to settle down and start producing royal heirs. But there was one small problem. Actually, a very big problem. No suitor came forward. King Hugo waited and waited. The silence was deafening. Finally, after 6 months of not a single marriage proposal, the king's advisors came to him with long faces. "Your Majesty," the chief advisor said, clearing his throat nervously, "the people are saying that no man wants to marry Princess Matilda because of her size." King Hugo slammed his fist on the armrest of his throne. "What nonsense! My daughter is a princess. She is kind, intelligent, and has a heart of gold." "Yes, Your Majesty, but you know how people are. They judge with their eyes first." They said no man would ever marry her, not knowing her glow-up was loading. The king's mind worked fast. If people were so shallow, so focused on material things, then he would give them material things. He called for his town crier and made a proclamation that shook the entire kingdom. "Hear ye, hear ye. King Hugo announces that any man who marries Princess Matilda will receive 100 million naira, a brand new duplex in the choice location of the capital city, and a luxury car. This offer stands for any man, regardless of his background or status." The announcement spread through the kingdom faster than bushfire during dry season. Within days, suitors began to arrive at the palace gates in droves. They came in their finest clothes with rehearsed smiles and honeyed words. But King Hugo was no fool. He had lived long enough to know the difference between genuine love and greedy pretense. The first suitor was a young man named Emeka who claimed to be a businessman. King Hugo invited him to dine with the family. During the meal, the king deliberately spilled soup on his own clothes and asked Emeka to help Matilda clean it up. Emeka's face twisted in disgust. "Your Majesty, surely the servants should handle such tasks." "Get out of my palace," King Hugo said quietly. The second suitor lasted only slightly longer. When the king asked him to describe what he loved about Matilda, the young man stammered and sweated, finally blurting out, "She has, very nice teeth." Out. She was the most mocked princess in the kingdom, but wait till you see what happened after 3 months. Suitor after suitor came and went. Some tried to hide their true intentions better than others, but King Hugo's tests always revealed their hearts. One man fainted when asked to carry Matilda's luggage. Another spent the entire visit staring at the palace treasures instead of at the princess. A third man accidentally referred to the mansion and car during what was supposed to be a romantic proposal speech. Matilda watched this parade of fake lovers with growing despair. She knew the truth. They did not want her. They wanted her father's money. At night, she would cry into her pillow, asking God why he had cursed her with this body that nobody wanted. Meanwhile, outside the palace gates, there was a gate man named Jack. Now, Jack was not a wealthy man or a handsome man by the kingdom standards. He was 40 years old, already married with 3 children, and his job was simple. He opened and closed the palace gates and kept watch over who came and went. But Jack had something rare. He had a good heart and keen eyes that saw beyond the surface. For years, Jack had watched Princess Matilda grow up. He had seen her transform from a joyful child to a sad, broken young woman. He had heard the cruel jokes from visitors, seen the mocking glances from delivery people, and watched her shoulders slump lower with each passing day. One morning, as Matilda walked through the palace gardens, her feet dragging with sadness, Jack made a decision. He approached her carefully, bowing respectfully. "Princess Matilda, forgive my boldness, but may I speak with you?" Matilda looked up, surprised. The gate man had never spoken directly to her before. "Yes, Jack, what is it?" "Princess, I have watched you suffer for too long. I am just a simple gate man, but I was once a fitness trainer before I took this job. I know I have no right to offer advice to royalty, but if you permit me, I believe I can help you." Matilda's first reaction was suspicion. Was this another person coming to mock her? Another person who would promise help only to laugh at her behind her back? But when she looked into Jack's eyes, she saw something different. She saw genuine concern. She saw kindness without expectation. "How?" she whispered. "Let me teach you how to exercise properly. Let me show you what foods will make you strong and healthy. Let me help you find the beautiful, confident woman that I know is hiding inside. Not for any man, not for your father, not for the kingdom, but for yourself." Something stirred in Matilda's heart. A tiny flame of hope that she thought had died long ago flickered back to life. "When do we start?" she asked. Jack smiled. "Tomorrow morning, before the sun rises, wear comfortable clothes." And so began the transformation that would shake the entire kingdom of Ofevilla to its very foundations. The next morning, when the roosters were just beginning to crow, Matilda met Jack at the palace gardens. Her body ached with every movement. Jack started her with simple exercises, walking around the garden, stretching her arms and legs, breathing deeply. "Don't think about losing weight," Jack told her firmly. "Think about becoming strong. Think about feeling good in your own body. The rest will follow." He prepared special drinks for her, mixtures of fruits and vegetables that tasted strange at first but made her feel energized. He taught her about portion control, showing her that she could eat the foods she loved, just in smaller, more balanced amounts. Food is not your enemy, princess. Food is fuel. You just need to learn how to use it properly. But more than the physical training, Jack worked on Matilda's mind. Every day, he would make her stand in front of a mirror and say positive things about herself. "I am strong. I am worthy of love. I am more than my appearance." At first, Matilda felt foolish saying these things. The words felt like lies in her mouth. But Jack was patient and persistent. "Say it again, princess, and this time, try to believe it." The palace maid noticed that Matilda was waking up early and started whispering again. What is she doing now? Does she think exercise will help that body? She should just accept her fate. Some people are born to be fat. But Matilda, for the first time in her life, ignored them. She had a goal now, a purpose that was hers alone. Days turned to weeks. Weeks turned to months. The changes were slow at first, so slow that Matilda almost gave up several times. But Jack was always there, encouraging her, celebrating every small victory. "Look, princess, you walked for 30 minutes without stopping today. Last month you could barely manage 10. Your face is glowing. Do you see it? You are getting stronger every day. I can see it in the way you carry yourself." And he was right. Matilda was changing, not just physically, but mentally. She started to walk with her head held higher. She started to smile more genuinely. She started to believe that maybe, just maybe, she was worth something after all. By the end of the 3rd month, something miraculous had happened. Princess Matilda stood in front of her full-length mirror and gasped. The woman looking at her was almost unrecognizable. Her face had emerged from the layers of fat, revealing high cheekbones and an elegant jawline. Her waist had curved inward, creating that coveted figure-8 shape that women dreamed of. Her arms were toned, her legs were shapely, and her skin glowed with health and vitality. But more than her physical transformation, It was her eyes that had changed the most. They sparkled with confidence and self-love. They belonged to a woman who knew her worth. The first person to see the new Matilda was her father. King Hugo had been in a meeting with his advisors when his daughter walked into the throne room. The entire room fell silent. "Matilda," the king whispered, standing up slowly. "Is that really you, my daughter?" "Yes, Papa," she said, her voice strong and clear. "It's me." King Hugo's eyes filled with tears. He rushed forward and embraced his daughter, laughing and crying at the same time. "My beautiful girl, my precious jewel. You were always beautiful to me, but now the whole world will see what I have always seen." Word of Princess Matilda's transformation spread through the kingdom like wildfire. People who had mocked her now scrambled to catch a glimpse of her. The same girls who had bullied her in school suddenly wanted to be her friends. The same mates who had gossiped about her now fought to serve her. Adana, her former tormentor from school, came to the palace with a gift and a smile that did not reach her eyes. "Princess Matilda, oh my goodness, you look amazing. I always knew you had it in you. Remember how close we were in school?" Matilda looked at her calmly. "Actually, Adana, I remember you calling me a hippopotamus. I remember you making my life a living hell. And no, I don't need your friendship now." Adana's face flushed with shame and anger as she was escorted out. The suitors who had previously rejected Matilda now returned, tripping over themselves to propose marriage. They brought expensive gifts, wrote love poems, and declared their undying devotion. But Matilda had learnt her lesson. She politely declined them all. King Hugo, overjoyed by his daughter's transformation, called for Jack the gateman. "Jack, my good man, you have done what seemed impossible. You have restored my daughter's confidence and health. The reward I promised, the 100 million naira, the duplex, the car, it's all yours. And I will arrange for you to marry my daughter immediately." Jack bowed deeply but shook his head. "Your Majesty, you honor me greatly, but I cannot accept. I am already a married man with a family I love. I did not help Princess Matilda for any reward. I helped her because it was the right thing to do." The throne room erupted in shocked whispers. Who turns down 100 million naira? King Hugo stared at Jack for a long moment, then began to laugh, a deep, booming laugh that shook his whole body. "You, Jack, are the only man who has proven himself worthy. But since you cannot marry my daughter, at least let me reward your kindness. I will give you 50 million naira to start any business you wish. You and your family will never know poverty again." Jack accepted this gift with gratitude, and true to his word, he used the money wisely, opening a chain of fitness centers across the kingdom that helped many people transform their lives just as Matilda had transformed hers. As for Princess Matilda, she took her time. She went back to school and completed her education, graduating top of her class. The same teachers who had dismissed her now praised her endlessly. But she remembered who had been kind to her when she was at her lowest. 2 years later, at a royal charity event she had organized to help young people struggling with self-esteem, she met a man named Chukwudi. He was a teacher from a modest background, and when he first approached her, he had no idea she was a princess. They talked for hours about books, about education, about dreams and hopes for the future. When he finally learned who she was, his reaction was not awe or greed, but simple joy that he had met someone who shared his passions. They courted for a year, and King Hugo watched carefully, testing Chukwudi in subtle ways, but this man needed no testing. His love for Matilda was as clear as daylight. He loved her for her mind, her heart, her strength, and yes, for her beauty too, but beauty that went deeper than skin. Their wedding was the grandest celebration Ofe Villa had ever seen. People came from far and wide to witness the marriage of the princess who had risen from mockery to majesty. On her wedding day, as Matilda walked down the aisle in a dress that sparkled like stars, she caught sight of Jack standing with his family in the crowd. She smiled at him, a smile of pure gratitude, and he nodded back, his eyes proud. Princess Matilda became Queen Matilda of Ofe Villa when her father passed the throne to her and Chukwudi. and she ruled with wisdom, compassion, and a special heart for anyone who was mocked or looked down upon because of their appearance. She never forgot where she came from, never forgot the pain of being called ugly, never forgot the lonely nights of crying into her pillow, and she made sure that in her kingdom, every child, fat or thin, tall or short, dark or light, knew that they were valuable, worthy, and beautiful. Moral lesson: true beauty comes from within, and real transformation begins when you love yourself enough to make changes for your own happiness, not to please others. The people who mock you when you are down are not the ones who deserve you when you rise up. And the greatest reward you can give to those who help you is to become the best version of yourself and use your blessings to lift others up. Never judge anyone by their appearance alone, for you never know the greatness that lies within them waiting to emerge. The person who helps you expecting nothing in return is worth more than 1,000 who come bearing gifts with selfish intentions. Thank you very much for watching. The end.